What if I told you that a few simple phrases could make people respect you instantly? Words that don't shout, don't demand, but quietly command authority and influence. Today, I'm going to reveal 7 Stoic phrases that will change how the world sees you forever. Respect is not demanded. Respect is earned, quietly, consistently, and through the strength of character. Throughout history, the great Stoics understood one simple truth. People may hear your words, but they respect your actions. They may admire your success, but they honor your discipline. And they may forget your achievements, but they never forget your principles. Today's world is loud, chaotic, and full of unnecessary noise. But the Stoic stands still in the middle of that noise, calm, composed, unshakable. What gives him this power? What gives him this presence? It's not aggression, it's not ego, it's not dominance, it's the ability to speak with clarity, intention, and inner strength. This speech reveals 7 Stoic phrases that don't just sound powerful, they command respect instantly because they reflect a mindset disciplined by reason, controlled emotions, and unbreakable self-awareness. These phrases shift how people see you, how they treat you, and most importantly, how they feel when they stand in your presence. Let's begin. Phrase 1. I control my response, nothing more. This phrase is the foundation of Stoicism. It tells the world that you're not reactive, you're not emotional, and you're not easily moved. When someone tries to provoke you, disrespect you, or drag you into unnecessary conflict, this single sentence draws a clear boundary. People respect the man who cannot be rattled. Most people panic when they face tension. They get loud, they get defensive, they lose control. But when you calmly say, I control my response, nothing more, you show emotional mastery, you show discipline, you show that no one owns your mind. This phrase ends arguments before they begin. It destroys manipulation. It shuts down disrespect instantly. Because the moment you show that your emotions belong to you, and only you, people understand they cannot shake you. And once they understand that, they respect you. Your power is in your response. Your response is always your choice, and that choice is what defines your character. Phrase 2. I focus on what I can change, not on what I cannot. This phrase is deceptively simple, yet its power is immense. The moment you speak it, you broadcast a message louder than words ever could. You are a man of clarity, purpose, and control. You are not distracted by the chaos of the world. You are not weighed down by what lies beyond your reach. You operate from a position of strength. The strength that comes from understanding the difference between what is within your power and what is not. Life is full of situations over which we have no control. People will fail you. Circumstances will betray you. The weather, the economy, the opinions of others, none of these are yours to command. The world, in its chaos, will always try to pull you into frustration, anger, or despair. And most people, weak in character, will fall right into it. They will waste energy fighting against what they cannot change, resenting others, blaming circumstances, and drowning in anxiety. But the Stoic is different. The Stoic knows that respect comes not from reacting to the uncontrollable, but from mastering what is controllable. This phrase, I focus on what I can change, not on what I cannot, is not just a sentence. It is a declaration of independence. It is saying to the world, I am not a prisoner of circumstances. I am the master of my mind, my choices, and my actions. When you use this phrase in conversation, in business, in leadership, or even in everyday life, you signal wisdom. People sense it instinctively. They see that you are not wasting energy on pointless struggles. You are efficient, you are focused, you are disciplined, and they respect that. They respect someone who does not whine, complain, or get caught in trivial disputes. They respect someone who acts decisively, because every action is rooted in rational thought and intentional choice. Consider how this phrase transforms your relationships with others. When a coworker complains endlessly about problems they cannot fix, your calm repetition of this principle sets a boundary without confrontation. It does not dismiss the problem. It simply redirects attention to the realm of action. When a friend rants about injustice, unfairness, or misfortune, you offer clarity, not emotion. And in moments of crisis, when others panic, you remain composed, analyzing solutions where solutions exist and letting go where they do not. That is a rare quality. That is the kind of presence that commands respect. Moreover, this phrase is a shield against manipulation. People who seek to provoke, distract, or control you will find no purchase here. They may try to draw you into anger, fear, or resentment. But your focus on what you can change makes their attempts powerless. Their chaos cannot infect your mind. Their criticism cannot break your composure. And in recognizing that, people cannot help but respect the unshakable fortitude you project. The true power of this phrase lies not only in its words but in its application. It is not enough to speak it, it must be lived daily. It means waking up every morning with the clarity to see what is within your influence and what is not. It means choosing your battles carefully, refusing to expend effort where it will be wasted, and dedicating yourself to action that matters. And it means accepting the outcomes with equanimity, knowing that you cannot control everything, but you can always control your effort, your attitude, and your integrity. Every time you face difficulty, repeat this phrase silently or aloud. Let it become a mantra, a mental anchor that keeps you steady in storms. It is not a phrase of avoidance or passivity, it is a phrase of power. It frees you from wasted emotion and channels your energy toward meaningful impact. And those around you, colleagues, friends, strangers, cannot help but notice the quiet strength it generates. Respect follows naturally when people see a man who is not a slave to circumstance, who maintains calm where others flounder, and who acts with wisdom rather than impulse. Remember, the world will always have problems. People will always seek to distract, provoke, or overwhelm you. But by focusing on what you can change, you rise above the chaos. You become a force of calm clarity. You become a man who earns respect effortlessly, because respect is drawn not to noise and complaint, but to wisdom and restraint. And this phrase, carried not just in your words but in your life, is the key that opens that door. Phrase 3, I act with purpose, not for approval. Respect is earned when your actions are grounded in intention, not in the fleeting opinions of others. This phrase, I act with purpose, not for approval, is a declaration that you live life on your own terms. It draws a line between those who are led by external validation and those who are guided by internal principles. The world is full of people desperate for applause, craving recognition, and bending to the whims of others. But the Stoic, true to himself, does not seek to please. He seeks to do what is right, what is effective, and what is meaningful. When you speak this phrase, it communicates strength without arrogance. It communicates presence without dominance. It signals that your actions are intentional, your motives are clear, and your standards are unshakable. People instinctively recognize this. Human beings respect clarity of purpose. They respect a man whose actions are consistent, whose choices are deliberate, and whose integrity is non-negotiable. They may not always understand your decisions, but they feel the weight of your conviction, and that is enough to command respect. In practical terms, this phrase transforms how you approach life. Consider your work, your relationships, your ambitions. Acting for approval is a trap. It binds your actions to the judgments, moods, and expectations of others. When you do so, you become reactive, inconsistent, and easily frustrated. You lose yourself in the pursuit of praise. You compromise your principles for temporary validation. But when your actions are rooted in purpose, the approval of others becomes irrelevant. Your energy is no longer scattered. Your decisions are no longer second-guessed, and your path is no longer dictated by public opinion. A man who acts with purpose is decisive. He does not hesitate because someone might disapprove. He does not falter because someone might criticize. He understands that control over his own behavior is the ultimate form of power. This confidence radiates outward. People see it in the way you speak, in the way you move, and in the way you carry yourself. They sense that your life is not at the mercy of others' judgments, and they cannot help but respect that. This phrase also builds unshakable resilience. Life will always throw criticism, envy, and misunderstanding in your path. Some will attempt to manipulate your choices, while others may try to diminish your efforts. The man seeking approval is vulnerable. Every opinion, every insult, every social cue has the power to destabilize him. But the man acting with purpose is anchored in himself. External forces may challenge him, but they cannot define him. His integrity shields him, and his focus on meaningful action strengthens him. This is the essence of Stoic power: calm, steady, unyielding. Moreover, acting with purpose sharpens your influence. People are drawn to conviction, not pandering. Leadership is not granted to those who beg for validation. It is recognized in those who move with clarity, discipline, and intention. When your actions are consistent and principled, you inspire trust and admiration. Others follow because they see competence and character, not because they are coerced or flattered. Respect is not demanded, it flows naturally from authenticity. To live by this phrase, you must cultivate awareness and discipline. Ask yourself before every action, am I doing this because it matters, or because someone else will approve? This simple reflection separates shallow reactions from meaningful decisions. It refines your purpose. It filters your energy toward what truly counts. And over time, this becomes a habit, a way of life where your efforts are deliberate, your focus is sharp, and your integrity is unquestionable. Finally, remember the deeper truth: life is short, and distraction is abundant. Chasing approval is a path to weakness, disappointment, and self-doubt. Acting with purpose is a path to strength, freedom, and respect. Every choice rooted in intention strengthens your character. Every act done for principle rather than praise elevates your presence. And every decision made with unwavering clarity signals to the world that you are a man of substance, someone who cannot be swayed, manipulated, or diminished. The Stoic lives by principle, not by popularity. The Stoic acts with purpose, not for approval. And in this alignment of thought and action lies the quiet, undeniable power that commands respect without demanding it. Speak it, live it. Let every action reflect this truth. And watch how people, even unknowingly, begin to treat you differently. They may not say it aloud, but they feel it, they respect it, and respect once earned this way is permanent. Phrase 4. I speak only when my words improve the silence. In a world overflowing with noise, chatter, and endless opinions, the power of measured speech cannot be overstated. This phrase, I speak only when my words improve the silence, is a declaration of presence, discipline, and wisdom. It signals that your mind is not cluttered with trivial thoughts. Your ego does not demand attention, and your words carry weight because they are chosen carefully. People instinctively notice those who talk less but say more, those who command attention without raising their voice. Most people speak for one of three reasons: to be heard, to impress, or to react. They interrupt, argue, and fill every pause with sound, often revealing impulsiveness, insecurity, or ignorance. They speak without purpose, leaving no impression other than noise. But the Stoic understands that true respect is rooted not in how much you speak, but in how meaningful your words are. This phrase is a constant reminder that silence is powerful, and words should never diminish it, they should enhance it. When you adopt this principle, people begin to notice something almost magnetic about you. In conversations, they sense restraint, focus, and intelligence. In meetings, your points land with precision because they are deliberate, not habitual. In conflicts, your silence conveys strength. And when you choose to speak, your words carry authority. The man who speaks with purpose does not argue for argument's sake. He does not react out of anger, nor does he compete for attention. His speech is rare, measured, and impactful, and that is the essence of respect. This phrase also builds patience and discipline. To speak only when your words improve the silence requires self-control. It requires awareness of your emotions, an understanding of the situation, and a recognition of your audience. It forces you to pause, reflect, and measure the impact of your voice before unleashing it. This level of self-mastery is not common, and it sets you apart. People respect those who are calm under pressure, those who do not speak impulsively, and those who understand the value of measured communication. Furthermore, this phrase protects you from the chaos of idle chatter and harmful conversations. The world is full of gossip, anger, and manipulation. By committing to speak only when your words serve a purpose, you avoid entangling yourself in negativity. You no longer waste energy on arguments that lead nowhere, nor do you provide ammunition to those who seek to provoke you. Your silence becomes your shield, and your words become your sword, strategically deployed, precise, and impossible to ignore. Consider the effect on leadership. Leaders who speak unnecessarily dilute their influence. Leaders who act impulsively with words lose credibility. But a leader, or anyone striving for respect, who embodies this phrase inspires confidence and loyalty. People trust the man who speaks with reason, not emotion. They recognize the intelligence behind measured responses, and they admire the restraint that keeps chaos at bay. You do not need to dominate conversations to assert authority. Your silence, combined with purposeful speech, asserts it far more powerfully than any volume could. This phrase also carries profound personal benefits. Silence cultivates clarity of thought, allowing you to understand situations deeply before reacting. It sharpens your judgment, strengthens your emotional resilience, and enhances your ability to influence others positively. When you finally speak, it is not noise, it is clarity, insight, and guidance. People naturally pay attention because they know your words are worth hearing, not just background static. Living by this phrase requires practice, patience, and intentionality. Start by observing your own speech. Ask yourself, do my words contribute meaningfully to this moment? Do they add value or only fill the silence? If the answer is no, remain silent. Let the space breathe. Let others reveal themselves. And when the moment arrives where your voice matters, speak with authority, precision, and calm. This is how you command respect without demanding it, how your presence grows without effort, and how your influence becomes lasting. Remember, silence is not emptiness, it is presence. Words, when used sparingly and purposefully, become a tool of power. Every time you speak, it is a reflection of discipline, wisdom, and character. People notice this instinctively, they respect it, they are drawn to it, and in that respect lies influence, authority, and unshakable strength. A man who speaks only to improve the silence becomes a force of clarity in a chaotic world. He earns respect not by shouting, reacting, or impressing, but by embodying control, thoughtfulness, and purpose. This is the Stoic way, silent, measured, and infinitely commanding. Phrase 4, I speak only when my words improve the silence. In a world drowning in noise, the true power of silence is often underestimated. Every day, people rush to speak, interrupting, arguing, complaining, or seeking approval. Many believe that being vocal equates to being respected. Yet history and philosophy tell us otherwise. True respect is not earned through endless chatter or empty persuasion. It is earned through measured words, deliberate action, and quiet confidence. This phrase, I speak only when my words improve the silence, is a manifesto of Stoic strength. It proclaims to the world that your presence alone carries weight, and when your voice joins the air, it adds value. Think of the difference between noise and sound. Noise is abundant, chaotic, and often destructive. Sound, when precise and intentional, commands attention. Most people choose noise because it's easy, it satisfies the ego, or it masks uncertainty. But the man guided by this Stoic principle speaks with purpose. He does not react impulsively to anger, gossip, or provocation. He does not fill conversations to prove his intelligence or to impress. Every word is weighed, every pause intentional, and every contribution meaningful. Speaking only when your words improve the silence cultivates immense respect because it signals self-mastery. People instinctively notice those who control their tongue. They recognize that such restraint requires discipline, patience, and a deep understanding of human nature. When others rage or panic, you remain composed. When others complain or argue, you remain measured. And when you finally speak, your words carry clarity, authority, and focus. That is magnetic, that is commanding, that is the kind of presence people cannot ignore. This phrase also acts as a shield against the chaos and manipulation of the world. In everyday life, people will attempt to provoke, distract, or belittle you. They may try to draw you into arguments or petty disputes. A man who fills the air with meaningless noise is easy to destabilize. But a man who observes, waits, and speaks only when it matters is untouchable. His silence protects his mind, preserves his energy, and allows him to act with reason rather than emotion. Others may try to disturb him, but they will find their efforts futile. Consider the impact of this principle on leadership and influence. A leader who constantly interrupts, corrects, or shouts may dominate the room, but does he inspire loyalty or respect? Not necessarily. In contrast, a leader who speaks sparingly, with precision, projects authority effortlessly. People listen because they know his words carry weight. Every instruction, every insight, every comment is a reflection of experience and thoughtful judgment. People follow such a leader, not because they are compelled to, but because they recognize his competence, wisdom, and self-discipline. That is the power of speaking to improve the silence. Furthermore, this phrase fosters clarity of thought. Silence creates space to analyze, reflect, and understand before acting. It allows you to observe the dynamics of a room, the motives of others, and the truth behind situations. When you finally speak, it is not noise, it is insight, direction, and guidance. Silence also provides perspective. It reminds you that most conflicts are temporary, most insults are trivial, and most disturbances are fleeting. By choosing your words wisely, you rise above the drama that consumes those who speak impulsively. To live this principle fully, cultivate self-awareness. Ask yourself, do my words add value here? Will they clarify, resolve, or inspire, or are they merely filling space? If the answer is no, remain silent, observe, reflect, let others reveal themselves, let situations unfold, and when the moment arrives where your voice can create impact, speak with calm authority. That moment carries more influence than hours of idle chatter ever could. Finally, remember the deep, subtle power this phrase embodies. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is presence, discipline, and control. Words, when used sparingly, become instruments of influence and respect. People notice, even subconsciously, when a man respects the power of his own speech. They recognize the confidence behind restraint. They respect the wisdom behind careful choice. And respect, once earned in this way, is permanent because it is rooted in character, not ego. A man who speaks only when his words improve the silence becomes a beacon of composure in a turbulent world. His influence is quiet yet undeniable. His presence is commanding yet non-threatening. His respect is earned, not demanded. And that is the essence of Stoic mastery: measured words, deliberate action, and unshakable character. Phrase 5. I measure success by virtue, not by opinion. In a world obsessed with recognition, awards, and the approval of others, this phrase is revolutionary. I measure success by virtue, not by opinion. It separates the weak from the strong, the distracted from the disciplined, and the reactive from the self-aware. Most people chase success as defined by society, wealth, fame, accolades, or status. They tie their self-worth to likes, praise, or recognition. But these are fleeting, unstable, and ultimately hollow. The Stoic knows that true success is not granted by the world, it is earned internally through virtue, integrity, and mastery over one's own mind. When you speak this phrase, you reveal a man of substance. You communicate that your life is guided by principles, not by external validation. You show that your choices, your actions, and your priorities are aligned with reason, justice, courage, and temperance, the timeless pillars of virtue. People may admire those who win recognition, but they respect those whose character is undeniable, whose morality is unwavering, and whose actions reflect inner truth rather than social expectation. This phrase is a declaration of independence from the world's judgment. It frees you from the constant pressure to conform or impress. It allows you to act with honesty, to pursue meaningful goals, and to prioritize integrity over popularity. While others bend under the weight of criticism, gossip, or public opinion, you remain unshakable. Your measure of success is internal, unchanging, and entirely your own. And that kind of independence is magnetic. It inspires trust, admiration, and respect. Consider its practical power. In business, most leaders chase metrics, KPIs, or accolades, but few measure the ethical quality of their decisions. In relationships, many seek approval, affection, or attention, often at the cost of their integrity. In daily life, people compromise principles for convenience, acceptance, or social recognition. The man who measures success by virtue acts differently. He chooses ethical paths, makes decisions rooted in principle, and evaluates himself by the standards he knows are right. This approach demands discipline, self-reflection, and moral courage, and it instantly distinguishes him from the crowd. Living by this phrase requires constant awareness. Every decision, every action, every goal should be filtered through the lens of virtue. Ask yourself, is this choice just? Is it courageous? Is it aligned with integrity? Will it strengthen my character? If the answer is yes, proceed. If not, resist the temptation to chase recognition, wealth, or fleeting approval. This mindset produces a man whose life is coherent, whose actions are deliberate, and whose presence commands respect naturally, without boastfulness. Moreover, this phrase builds resilience. Life is unpredictable, and public opinion is fickle. People will misunderstand you. They will criticize, envy, or attempt to manipulate your perception of yourself. But when your measure of success is virtue, not opinion, these external forces cannot destabilize you. Your self-worth is grounded in what truly matters: your character, your principles, and your discipline. This allows you to navigate life with composure, focus, and unshakable confidence. The impact on relationships is profound. People instinctively sense when someone acts from principle rather than ego. They trust a man who consistently demonstrates honesty, fairness, and integrity. They follow a man who values virtue over applause, courage over convenience, and wisdom over popularity. Your life becomes a beacon of reliability and honor, attracting those who respect strength of character and repel those drawn only to superficiality. This phrase also protects your mind from the endless distractions of comparison and envy. When others boast of achievements, possessions, or recognition, you remain centered because your metric of success is internal. You do not envy, resent, or compete for shallow rewards. Instead, you channel energy into cultivating virtue, learning, and meaningful action. This is the foundation of Stoic happiness and power: independence from opinion and devotion to what truly matters. Finally, remember this: the world may offer fleeting praise, temporary recognition, or superficial success, but these are unreliable and impermanent. Virtue, once cultivated, is permanent. It forms the backbone of your character, the anchor of your decisions, and the foundation of your respect. When you measure success by virtue, your life becomes coherent, your presence becomes magnetic, and your influence becomes lasting. People may not always understand your choices, but they feel the integrity behind them, and they respect it instantly. The Stoic path is not easy. It requires constant reflection, discipline, and moral courage. But a man who measures success by virtue walks through life untouchable by criticism, unshaken by envy, and undeniable in his presence. His respect is earned, not demanded. His authority is quiet, yet absolute. His life is a testament to the power of principle over opinion. Phrase 6. I value action over words. Words are easy. Anyone can talk. Anyone can promise, argue, or proclaim. But actions, deliberate, consistent, and principled, require discipline, courage, and commitment. This phrase, I value action over words, is a declaration of authenticity, competence, and strength. It signals that your life is not built on empty promises or superficial appearances, but on measurable deeds that reflect your character. People may admire someone who speaks boldly, but they respect the one whose actions speak louder than any claim or boast. Most people live in words. They plan endlessly, justify endlessly, and complain endlessly. They speak about change but rarely enact it. They speak about principles but compromise them at the first sign of convenience. The world rewards noise, attention, recognition, and temporary influence, but real respect belongs to those who act with integrity, consistency, and courage. When you embrace this phrase, you separate yourself from the majority who only talk. You live the truth you speak, and that is magnetic. The power of this phrase lies in its simplicity. Do more, talk less. When others are busy explaining, rationalizing, or persuading, you are busy building, improving, and achieving. People notice this. They sense your competence, your discipline, and your quiet confidence. You do not need to advertise your achievements. They are visible through results. You do not need to argue for respect. It is earned naturally through the consistency of your deeds. Your life becomes evidence of your principles. Your actions become your reputation. Acting over talking also cultivates trust. Words can mislead, actions cannot. When someone consistently delivers on promises, honors commitments, and aligns behavior with words, they become trustworthy. In contrast, those who talk without acting erode credibility. The Stoic understands this principle deeply. He knows that influence, authority, and respect are grounded not in rhetoric, but in tangible results and principled behavior. By living this phrase, you command respect effortlessly, because people cannot ignore the truth revealed through action. This principle is particularly powerful in leadership and relationships. Leaders who act decisively inspire confidence. Those who only speak often create doubt. Friends, colleagues, and partners gravitate toward those who do what they say, who honor their commitments, and who lead by example. The man who values action over words becomes a magnet for loyalty and admiration. People sense that he is reliable, capable, and principled, and respect flows naturally from that perception. Furthermore, valuing action over words protects you from ego-driven behavior. When recognition, applause, or praise is not the goal, every act is intentional and meaningful. You are not distracted by superficial validation. You do not boast or exaggerate. You measure success by results, integrity, and growth. This focus on substance rather than appearance creates a quiet power that is undeniable. People may try to provoke, challenge, or criticize you, but your reputation, built through consistent action, remains untouchable. Living this phrase requires self-discipline and courage. It demands reflection. Am I acting in alignment with my principles, or am I speaking to be noticed? This constant self-audit keeps you grounded, intentional, and focused on meaningful impact. Every task, every decision, every effort should reflect purpose, not performative intent. Over time, this practice cultivates a life of visible strength and integrity, where your presence alone commands attention and respect. Finally, this principle reminds us that time is finite and energy is precious. Talking about achievements or intentions consumes energy and often yields nothing. Action creates results, builds competence, and leaves a lasting legacy. The Stoic does not waste time on empty words or fleeting praise. He invests energy in action that matters, in work that strengthens character, and in deeds that leave an impact far beyond the moment. By valuing action over words, you align your life with purpose, wisdom, and measurable excellence. A man who values action over words becomes unstoppable, not because he boasts louder than others, but because he builds, delivers, and fulfills. His influence is earned, not demanded. His presence is commanding, not performative. His respect is permanent, not temporary. And in a world full of noise, he stands apart, unshakable, disciplined, and profoundly respected. Phrase 7. I remain calm even when chaos surrounds me. Calmness is strength. Calmness is clarity. Calmness is a signal to the world that you are unshakable, disciplined, and in control of yourself, even when everything around you threatens to spiral into disorder. This phrase, I remain calm, even when chaos surrounds me, is not just a statement. It is a declaration of mastery over emotion, perception, and circumstance. It separates the reactive from the composed, the impulsive from the wise, and the ordinary from the extraordinary. People instinctively respect calmness because it signals competence, reliability, and authority. Most people respond to chaos with panic, anger, or frustration. They let circumstances dictate their reactions, losing clarity and composure. They shout, blame, and flail, revealing vulnerability, impulsivity, and weakness. But the Stoic understands that external events are not within his control. What is within his control is his mind, his responses, and his choices. By remaining calm, he demonstrates self-mastery, resilience, and intelligence. The world may rage, but he stands firm, unshaken, and deliberate. This phrase carries enormous practical power. Consider a workplace crisis, a heated argument, or a sudden misfortune. Those who panic amplify problems, make mistakes, and lose credibility. The calm individual, however, assesses the situation with clarity. He identifies solutions, communicates effectively, and acts decisively. Calmness under pressure inspires trust. People instinctively gravitate toward someone who does not crumble under stress. They follow, listen, and defer to the one who remains composed, because calmness signals strength and competence more convincingly than words ever could. Moreover, calmness is a shield against manipulation. People who seek to provoke, deceive, or intimidate rely on emotional reactions. They want you to react impulsively, to lose control, or to engage in conflict. But when you remain calm, they fail. Your composure denies them power over you. Your rationality remains intact. Your decisions remain measured. And through this, you command respect, because no one can shake a man who governs his own mind. Living by this phrase requires discipline and self-awareness. Calmness does not come from indifference or detachment from reality. It comes from acceptance, preparation, and internal control. The Stoic asks, what is within my power and what is not? How can I respond effectively without being consumed by emotion? This reflection allows him to separate signal from noise, to act where action matters, and to ignore what does not. Calmness becomes not just a reaction, but a choice, a deliberate stance against chaos and distraction. This principle also fosters long-term resilience. Life is unpredictable, and storms, both literal and metaphorical, are inevitable. Those who panic or react emotionally are drained, frustrated, and vulnerable. Those who remain calm preserve energy, maintain focus, and act with precision. They learn from every challenge, adapt without losing composure, and grow stronger with each trial. Calmness is the bedrock of strategic thinking and the hallmark of a man who thrives in adversity. Consider the effect on others. Calmness is contagious. When a leader, friend, or colleague remains composed in crises, it stabilizes the environment. People become more confident, more rational, and more cooperative. Respect is not demanded. It arises naturally because people trust calmness more than noise, reason more than emotion, and presence more than words. Your ability to remain unshaken becomes a standard others unconsciously admire and follow. Finally, this phrase embodies the core of Stoic wisdom, the realization that life's turbulence cannot be avoided, but your response to it can be controlled. Calmness is not passive. It is a proactive exercise in mastery over the self. It is strength, presence, and resilience in action. A man who embodies this principle navigates life's storms with poise, integrity, and focus, earning respect without needing to assert it. When you live by this phrase, chaos no longer dictates your life. You move through disorder with clarity. You act with precision when others falter. You command respect without demanding it, because your presence alone communicates discipline, strength, and reliability. Calmness under pressure is not merely a habit, it is a signature of character, a beacon of authority, and a magnet for respect. In every moment of stress, uncertainty, or turbulence, remind yourself, the world may rage, but I remain composed. The storms may howl, but I stand firm. I am unshaken, decisive, and in control of my mind, and in that unshakable calm lies the power that earns the deepest, most enduring respect.